all, or the negotiation style that CETAG employed was successful? Because we thought they were going to back down.
No, Labour, if you look at what Labour did, for example, with SNIT, and said, no, take your hands off. If you don't, we will go on strike. I mean, SNIT literally called the bluff of Labour, right? Madame Elizabeth Ohene then says, no. People called the bluff. They said, she even said that if she had money, she would have bought the hotels. Suddenly, when everybody says we are going on strike, we'll back down and we will show you what we do best. They all backed down.
That means that this is the posturing that Labour and other interest groups must adopt.
I know. I hosted a book launch once upon a time, and one of the unionists who was there said, well, he had asked for something and it wasn't coming, and they had agreed, and they had compromised, and it wasn't coming. So they went to the chief executive's office and said, Madam, we are giving you till Friday. It was a Tuesday. If we don't get the things as we agreed, because we had to compromise to fit into your plan. If you don't give us the things that we agreed by Friday, Monday morning, I will bring my people here and we will dance on your table.
Wow.
The next Thursday, right? It was a Tuesday. By Thursday, everything was done. Sunday. Said, I will bring the people to dance on your table. The table, the chief executive's table. So it's Labour. And it's not little wonder that most institutions don't like having these Labour unions around.
Of course.
Yeah, because
they're strengthening numbers.
Yes, they're strengthening numbers, absolutely. And it translates to, the bigger population or the bigger society called Ghana. Look at the effect that Fix the Country and many others have been able to achieve. I mean, the demonstrations, even though, you find officialdom trying to, push you down the hole, suppress you and all of that. You find that at some point, government literally backs off a thing or two. Cast your mind back to Occupy Flagstaff House. The John Mahama administration, they had to back down a lot of things. Cast your mind back to Jerry Rawlings' days. Kwame Preco. They had to suspend VAT for 3 years, do consultations and bring it back in the form that it was then. So let's nobody be deceived that when the masses rise and they speak, people would listen.
But you see these items that you enumerate and what the effect was. The conversation these days is that we don't have that type of society that is committed to getting change by any means necessary. And I don't mean by violent means, but some might call it civic disobedience, for example. We're not going to work, we're striking, and so on and so forth. Even with what we saw late last year with hashtag Occupy Julobi House and so on and so forth, did that really get the desired effect? Or is it the case that, and the reason why I cite is that CETAG was hell-bent on continuing on with the strike, which sometimes with other groupings and bodies, it appears that we just that see-through or that follow-through is not there. I think it was school suppliers of uniforms. They came and sat here, two gentlemen. Thank you. They said that they were going to give us the most extraordinary strike and demonstration ever known to man. I think 20 minutes later, it was over and done with. It's CETAG showing the way that you have to maintain your stance, and they were only asking for things that have been agreed upon already. Must we always have to take this posture to get government to do what government has agreed to do? Is that the posturing that every time things have to be, and to the detriment of who? Students were left stranded since June 14. Since June 14.
The whole posturing of whether or not society has that kind of, the right amount of pressure to mount on government officialdom to do, to deliver the public good. Right, it's divided sharply along partisan lines. That's one, two, and also because of interests.
That's right.
If you drill down, and I always will make reference to this. We have had Alliance for Accountable Governance. We have had Let My Vote Count. We have had, name them. Too many of those pressure groups, and each time government switches or swaps, you will see some elements in there. I mean, go to Occupy Flagstaff House, right? Who were the key persons in there, the key people, the key faces? Where are they? Most of them have found themselves in, government, roles. Not to say that's bad, but then to the extent that their views change as soon as whatever regime they are looking for comes into power, their views change.
That what was once black can now be white.
Cannot be grey, and not necessarily white, but it can be grey. Because if at the time you could complain about 3.75 to CDs to $1, right, as UOFI Grant did then, he's now boss of GIPC.
That's
so
right.
there for 8 years, right? Almost 8 years. Now CD to $1 is what? Almost 16 CDs. Some
That's right.
beyond 16 CDs. He called 3.75 suicidal at the time. So if 3.75 to $1 is suicidal at the time, 16 CDs now should be genocide.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't see anything wrong with it. And most importantly, he is now even at the place where all foreign direct investments, GIPC, that's what I'm talking about. Ghana Investment Promotion Center.
Yeah.
So he sees the businesses coming in. He sees those businesses that are also leaving the shores of Ghana to go and set up elsewhere. The CD to dollar ratio is important in terms of starting growing, scaling up,
That's right.
business, doing all of that. So why is he not as concerned as he was then? It comes back to the other point I made about interest, about partisan political lines.
Right.
But if the people are united, so for example, what's happening at Kolebu, where for 3 weeks the renal department has been shut down, 3 weeks or more, it must not have political coloration
At all.
But you find that unfortunately, we will have to politicize the Kolebu situation because somebody thinks that if you speak about it now, because my government is in power, then you're trying to paint my government black. And then somebody also thinks that I need to talk about it because I could be there tomorrow and not find help
That's
that I
right.
need. And then somebody to say, okay, let me talk about it some more because it makes the government look bad. And then it would give my party the impetus to come into power.
Yeah.
So there are three strands of views. But what does Ghana want? Ghana wants a situation where you can walk into the hospital, no matter who you are, no matter what you have. But if you have an NHIS card, you walk in there, you're comfortable. Like people who we know in this country who have citizenship elsewhere.
Right.
Who go for checkup there with their insurance cards and they are sorted. Because they don't have to stress it because they are citizens.
But they'll come back and lament with the rest of us.
No, sometimes they'll come and even tell you to shut up when you start lamenting. I mean, people need to undergo their renal dialysis at least 2-3 times a week. You have shut the renal dialysis place at OPD department. So if I'm diagnosed today, touch wood, I cannot access it at Kolebu. I have to find a private facility and access it.
Whether you can afford it or not.
That's it. That's another layer. And you saw the gentleman who wanted to climb the pylon.
Right.
He actually climbed the pylon.
He did.
He wanted to end his life because he can't pay. That's the reality on the ground. It's not about somebody telling you to shut up. And this morning I had a conversation with one of my friends on WhatsApp. After I put that thing, I said, stop painting the country black and all that. I said, I'm not painting no
This
country
is the
black.
reality.
It's the reality. Renal Dialysis Patients President, Association President, says, we are going to picket at Kolebu. We are bringing our mattresses and everything there. So that when we die, it is easier for you to put us in the morgue. Right? Then you have somebody else who's also climbing a pylon. There are many others who would not want to come and speak up because they feel embarrassed about the whole situation.
That's right.
If you talk about it, how is that painting the country black? Has the country not painted itself black? When the things that you need are at the port, sitting down there, the health minister says he will do everything to get it cleared. But the things are at the port. So who is painting what black? Who? The people who are suffering? Who? It's sometimes you don't understand. And you ask yourself the question, can we live in a country where every single second there's a strike action, there's some agitation? I mean, what kind of harmonious society would that be?
Not harmonious at all.
But then the reality also is that basic needs of the people are not being sorted out. I mean, look at where you live.
Yeah.
Look at the roads that lead to your home. You pay your property rate.
That's right.
If you're running a business, you pay business operation permit.
Indeed.
You pay your roadworthy certificate fees, right?
Even though the road is not worthy of my
Fantastic.
vehicle.
But you're always at the mechanic's shop
That's right.
because you're trying to keep your car in pristine order.
Your shocks are gone.
And you have to be buying them when you have actually paid monies so that the road is made smooth and clear to protect your vehicle. Now, means that you are spending more to maintain your car, spending more to pay for the roadworthy certificate, and spending more to buy spare parts and fuel. So if you compound all of this, you realize that the money in your pocket is already gone even before it gets in there.
I mean, even before you take it out to make this expenditure, the money that was just sleeping somewhere has been devalued to the point that
it's gone.
Already you are on the back foot.
So now, if I go through this and I talk about it, and you tell me that I'm trying to make somebody look good, somebody look bad, I won't understand you.
No.
Because I don't have access to fuel coupons. And I cannot go to Ghana Metro and go and take one of their 4x4s like a former DG or board chair has taken and is using. I cannot go to Population Council and go and say, I want to buy, as former leader of the place, I want to buy the 4x4 that I used, and you have been told specifically not to buy it, but you are refusing to return it, and you're still using it. A company will maintain all those vehicles. Because if insurance dies or expires, you bring it back, they renew it, and you take it away.
That's right.
If it breaks down, you bring it on their own, our taxes, they renew. So you won't feel the kind of pain I feel and the kind of stress I feel. Why can't we just make things, the basic things, so?
That's right.
Fix the road, put the road markings on, put the street lights there, make sure the traffic light is working, keep the lights on, keep the water flowing, make the food available, make it affordable for the people to buy. Who will complain about what?
Make the environment or the economy just viable, buoyant, so we can do our own. We can do our own business. We can flourish.
I always use Abosokai as an example, right? I grew up partly in Abosokai. In Abosokai, we have people who call affairs.
Affairs.
They are middlemen, or what's now the DVLA people called Goro boys. Right? They're called affairs. So you drive your 4x4 to Abosokai. You want maybe wheel covers, you want wiper, you want a few things, one or two things for your car. As soon as you branch into Abosokai, the boys swam your vehicle.
Yep.
And they ask you, Madam Opedeng. Then you identify who you want to deal with. Oh, maybe spanner set. We say, okay, Madam, would you park here? Then they go and bring it. They go to the shop, which is not theirs, right? But then they identify the things you look for. Maybe they pick it from the shop at 100 cedis. And then they bring it to you at maybe 110 or 120 cedis. The shop owner is waiting for his 100 cedis. He will make 20 cedis off it if you buy it at 120. If you price it down to 110, 105, he still will make 5 cedis. 107, he will still make 7 cedis.
Yeah.
So anything beyond 100 cedis is his.
Right.
And there were people who were surviving on this kind of affairs business in Abosokai when I was growing up. Today, go to Abosokai and ask them if they can even find affairs boys. People are not even driving through as much as they used to drive through because spare parts is so expensive.
Very expensive.
The government knows it.
Very expensive.
I'm not the one complaining. The government knows it. At Abosokai again, I use that as an example. Go to Kukompe as well. Go to Swami Magazine. There were people who used to have, they bring in their containers, they offload the things, and there are some of the things that they don't see where maybe I've ordered a container load of headlights.
Okay.
And then it comes and I find some tubes and some things. I don't sell those ones, so I toss it away. There are people who find those things on the ground, have their own tabletop business where they sell all these things, wheel cover, gasket, all those small things. And they also make a living at Abosokai. Today, go to Abosokai and see if when the containers come, those who sell headlights or maybe they sell fan belt or whatever it is, carburetors, whatever it is, go and check if they throw anything away. Go to Abosokai, go and check. So times are hard, times are tough.
That's right.
And last Sunday, Dr. Bawumia admitted that times are tough. The president has admitted that times are tough. What is missing in the equation, as you said, is that what part of the times are hard did you contribute to bring into Ghanaians? That's one. Number two, how do you propose to get us out of these times are hard? Is it by promising us new things, Or is it by fixing the things that we know, which we have all? And as I showed the 1996 manifesto of the NPP, the problems, I say the problems, we already know. We have diagnosed the problem long time ago.
That's right.
Why we are not fixing the problems that we know, and we're just recycling the problems to put out there, is another problem.
This issue about actually accepting blame and identifying what portion government had to play is one that I agree with you perfectly. Yes, we know that these exogenous factors exist, COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war, and so on and so forth. But there are other countries who went through that. And in times past, I believe, who was it on the NPP side asking John Dramani Mahama whether those factors skipped over Cote d'Ivoire and so on and so forth. So other countries have definitely been impacted by these factors, but the degree to which we have been impacted is an outlier. Why is that so? Because we know also that in 2022, as part of the reason why the CD depreciation was so huge and the exchange rate was the printing of money.
That's right.
And so that is it's fact. It's either white or it's black, and it happened. And those are factors that government conveniently wants to sweep under the carpet. Talk about how much money we spend to service our debt. That is our number one line item. Right. So every money that comes, we're borrowing to pay for the borrowing that we are borrowing.
And we actually spend
take
more.
Credits to pay. Take credit two to pay for credit one. I mean, it's. I don't know how we're going to get out of this conundrum, especially when politicians are promising to do more, buy buses for GPL teams, and so on and so forth.
See, read this. Bringing down inflation at a high cost of living. This is a 1996 manifesto of the NPP. The top priority of the NPP is to stop the wild raging inflation which is tearing the society apart, robbing people of their savings and making the cost of living unbearable. The only people profiting from the inflation are the top hierarchy of the NDC and their insensitive business partners, who could have imagined a ball of kinky selling for 200 Ghana cedis. Now I'm told it's not 20 pesos, it's 2 pesos, or one roasted granite for 1 cedi. But that is the reality of Ghana today. Even the ordinary yoka gari, kinky and fish, roasted plantain and granules are now hardly affordable. At the time, at the annual rate of inflation of 70%, the real value, that is the purchasing power of your money or income, salary or wage or savings, is reduced by 41% in 1 year. If this is maintained, the real value of your savings would be reduced by 93% in 5 years. At this rate, and 1,000 cedis saved today will be worth 7 cedis in purchasing power for 5 years hence. This is how inflation robs the people of their decimates the society. But the root cause of inflation in Ghana are well known, and this is where your point comes in. Excessive money supply caused by printing money to finance the NDC budget deficits. 2, the continual depreciation of the cedi, the results of the excessive money supply. 3, high nominal interest rates, currently over 45%. And 4, high cost of foodstuff in the market. We diagnose the problem. Now, they say the NPP is determined to bring the inflation rates down to within 5% per annum. This will be attained by eliminating the budget deficit and hence the need for printing money, by stabilizing the exchange rate, by lowering interest rates, which will necessarily follow the decline in inflation, and by improving efficiency and competition in the financial sector, and by raising agricultural productivity, especially in food and livestock production, as addressed below. This
What year is
1996.
I thought this was something that was from just yesterday.
This is 1996. See, problem well defined, solutions well prescribed, and we are still here redefining the problem, recalibrating the problem, and thinking that we will have a solution. Yo, see you after the break.
The luckiest. *712#. Luck is everywhere.